He is going to have the people who touch too much of the mountain or come up the mountain stoned to death in a barbaric way. But hey, that's God, and God is love. God is love. Never forget that God equals love. Welcome to Joel Reads Bible. I'm Joel, and I read Bible so that you don't have to. Okay? You're welcome. You're welcome, guys. Honestly. Every single week we drop 2 new chapters and we're heading to Revelation or Revelations or bust. It's a slog. It can be a slog. It can be a bit of a slog. And we're trying to determine whether or not this is absolute, ultimate truth or not. And if the God of this Bible maybe reveals himself through the book. You know, not in a rude way, but reveals himself to you and to me through these chapters. And we're working on it. We're trying. We're just reading it. By the way, we're just reading it and thinking. We are thinking. That one mistake we're making, or possibly, is that we're thinking. We are here at Exodus chapter 19. The Israelites are hanging out in the desert, and things are kind of cooking out there. Not anything other than manna and quail, and of course the odd burnt offering that father-in-laws bring by. But things are cooking in the sense that they're developing some systems of justice or government. I think they're judicial systems because they have some judges. Moses is still the big cheese, but you know, he needs help. And I agree with that. You need balance, you need a good work-life balance, and Moses can't be all day and all night trying to solve all the problems of the Hebrews. He just can't. He can't. So anyway, we're here at chapter 19. Please subscribe, like the video, and leave me a comment, and ring the bell so you know when I post videos. We're trying to grow to 1,000 subscribers. I don't know. I record these a little bit ahead of time, so maybe we're at 1,000. And by the way, I never ask for this, but if you're watching all these episodes and you actually think that like one of the episodes was particularly good, or if you saw a short that led you here or something like that, feel free to share it. You don't have to keep it to yourself, because I could use some evangelists. I know it's an ugly word, but I could use some evangelists, you know? Yeah, I know you're like, I don't want to be an evangelist. I don't, you know. No, but I could use a little bit of some sharing. Exodus chapter 19. In the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt, on the very day, who cares? They were there for 430 years, to the very day. Great. You know, on the 3rd month after the Israelites left Egypt, on the very day, they came to the desert of Sinai. After they set out from Rephidim, they entered the desert of Sinai, and Israel camped there in the desert in front of the mountain. Now, was Sinai the mountain that was going to prove that God was God? In Exodus chapter 3, I noticed that they are around Horeb. This is starting to make me beg the question, why are they wandering the desert for 40 years as if they're completely lost when they really are at some landmarks that Moses knows? Like they know where they are. Like, I don't know if there's any reason to just like not go where they're supposed to go. We only know that they're traveling for 40 years. Maybe God will explain, or the narrative will explain why it's going to last 40 years. It says here at chapter 3, verse 12, when you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. But I just don't see what mountain it is. But we could assume that it's Mount Sinai. All right, I'll leave it to the comments. If you guys know what mountain it is, if there's a verse that I'm forgetting that it says like it's Mount Sinai and this is where they're going to do the old worshiping thing. Then Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain and said, so Moses went up to God, and the Lord called to him from the mountain. So I don't understand that. He went up to, where's God? He went up to where God was, and then God also was up even on the mountain and called down? Whatever. I'm not going to split hairs on that. That's probably just weird words. It's probably just a bad translation of what the ancient Hebrew would have been saying. You know what I mean? This is what you ought to say to the house of Jacob, and what you are to tell the house of Israel. You yourselves have seen what I did to Egypt, and how I carried you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself. Now, if you obey me fully and keep my covenant, then out of all nations you will be my treasured possession. This is really interesting. We get a little bit of sweet metaphor. God took them out of Egypt on eagle's wings. That's kind of a beautiful word picture there. Obviously not going to be literal in that sense. And it's also not literal that they will be his treasured possessions, but we understand what that means, that these are like his favorite toys. The Israelites are God's favorite toys. Like, I like you guys the best. You're my favorite. I put you guys on the top shelf, my favorite figurines, all this other stuff, just toys in a basket. Although the whole earth is mine, you will be for me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words you are to speak to the Israelites. He is now confirming that he's not just the God of the Israelites. The whole world belongs to him. God is now, I think, transcending other gods. The gods of Egypt, all these other gods, everything belongs to me, though. So I think, as far as I can tell, this is like the first time we get God really being the God of the universe rather than just the God of the Hebrews. But I could be wrong again. Leave it in the comments. I'm asking for a lot of help right now because we're getting further along the book and I just don't remember every single word, to be honest. But we can always look back at previous episodes. They do exist, so we have read it. So Moses went back and summoned the elders of the people and set before them all the words the Lord had commanded him to speak. The people all responded together. They all responded together in a big throng, I guess. We will do everything the Lord has said. So Moses brought their answer back to the Lord. The Lord was like, I know what they said. I'm all knowing, babe. Don't you know that? Yeah, I know exactly. I can hear. I have very good hearing. I actually have incredible hearing, okay? So yeah, I don't need you to tell me what they said. The Lord said to Moses, I'm going to come to you in a dense cloud so that the people will hear me speaking with you and will always put their trust in you. Then Moses told the Lord what the people had said. I love that. I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm going to make them trust you implicitly. I feel like there are going to be times in the Bible where Christian apologists, and this is me jumping forward again, but I want to put this here because I want you guys to be aware of it. As we go forward, we need to be aware of this verse, okay? When you talk to Christians, when you're hearing about these things, we need to highlight this verse. The Lord is going to speak to Moses in a dense cloud in the presence of all the other Hebrews so that they trust him implicitly. So whatever comes out of Moses' mouth, they can take as gospel. They can take as like, okay, God might as well be saying this. So whenever we get Christians saying, well, God didn't say that this should happen, Moses said it, I'm sorry, but Moses is a spokesperson for God that God has so much confidence in that he made the Hebrew people trust him forever. Keep in mind that he has the foresight to know whether or not Moses is worthy of this level of confidence. And the Lord said to Moses, go to the people and consecrate them today and tomorrow. I don't know what that means. Have them wash their clothes. Maybe that's what it means. And be ready by the third day, because on that day the Lord will come down on Mount Sinai in the sight of all the people. Put limits for the people around the mountain and tell them, be careful that you do not go up the mountain or touch the foot of it. Whoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. He shall surely be stoned or shot with arrows. Not a hand is to be laid on him, whether man or animal, he shall not be permitted to live. Only when the ram's horn sounds a long blast may they go up the mountain. Okay, so this is the Lord saying it to Moses. Now, this has come a lot quicker than I expected. In chapter 17, we had the introduction to stoning. I'm sorry if there's other stoning mentioned before that. I just don't remember it. But I said in chapter 17 that God probably wouldn't want them stoning people. It's barbaric. And also, as a God that knows all things throughout all time, so he knows lethal injection, why would he say, hey, let's get these people stoned or shot with arrows? I think shot with arrows may be a little bit better, but why don't we do something that's a little bit less barbaric? Well, it's because people wrote this. It's because this is not obviously a all-knowing, all-powerful, good, loving God. That'd be crazy to actually think that. It's people of a time who don't have any more perspective than the small sort of window of the world that they live in, right? Like that's what's reflected in the text. I don't know about you, but I'm not seeing someone who transcends their particular time in history in this text. Maybe you see it. Maybe you see it. But this is also just crazy that God is so great, and the way we're going to show this great power and this incredible glory and majesty and all these things, words that they haven't really put here, but is by killing anyone that touches the foot of the mountain, because he's preparing. I guess he's getting dressed. He's doing his makeup. He's contouring. He's getting the smoke really dense because he doesn't actually want people to see his face. So he's actually doing a lot of prep work for this pantomime that he's about to put on. I mean, this is theater to the nth degree, right? God loves nothing if he doesn't love theater. This is his whole thing. He loves it. And so he has this lovely decree of violence against his people if they touch the base of a mountain. Can you believe that? It's so loving. After Moses had gone down the mountain to the people, he consecrated them, and they washed their clothes. What's consecrated? What does that mean? Then he said to the people, prepare yourselves for the third day. Abstain from sexual relations. Aw, man, that's not fun. Come on, really? What the? No sex? That sucks. On the morning of the third day, there was thunder and lightning with a thick cloud over the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast. Everyone in the camp trembled. Look, I don't know what happens in the New Testament yet, but can we please stop with the God is love bullshit? Honestly, can we stop with the, God wants a relationship with you? This is smoke. This is cloud, like ominous cloud and thunder and lightning, and everyone's trembling. That's how scary this is. Okay, this is scary. I don't know how you're going to read this and be like, he's just so beautiful and loving and wonderful. And he's trying to freak you out, He's trying to terrify you. He wants you to be afraid. Then Moses led the people out of the camp to meet God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Not too close, not too close, not too close. I don't think he's going to kill you anymore, but not too close, not too close. Okay, that's fine. Just stay there. Stay behind the line, everyone, just in case he kills you. I think it's fine now, but just in case he kills you. Mount Sinai was covered with smoke and mirrors. I mean, just smoke, because the Lord descended on it in fire. The smoke billowed up from it like smoke from a furnace. The whole mountain trembled violently, and the sound of the trumpet grew louder and louder. Then Moses spoke, and the voice of God answered him. This is pageantry. This is how intense God is being to prove how much Moses is his guy. Because this doesn't have to happen for God to come down to earth. Of course the mountain's going to tremble. God is coming down to earth. Yeah, but he's shown up and strolled around in the cool of the evening in the garden. He's popped in with a couple other guys to see Abraham and went for a stroll and, did a negotiation over Sodom and Gomorrah. He had a wrestling match with Jacob that he couldn't win until he zapped his tendon, right? Like, he's not someone that always has to come down with smoke, fire, and trumpets. This is theater. This is a performance. This is all just so that people go, this is definitely God. And he's talking directly to Moses. He's talking directly to Moses. I mean, as if they didn't know that this was already happening, because they're always like, can you tell God we're mad? We don't have anything to eat. And he's like, okay. And he comes back, all right, there's going to be food. Like, they don't know that already. They need these theatrics. You know who needs this theatrics? We do, because it's a fun read. That's who needs it, right? We're the ones who are sitting here going, we, the reader, need to be able to enjoy this story. So we're making it fun, or they're making it fun. The writer has the good sense to make it fun by adding all these theatrics. The description is pretty fun. Trumpets is just growing louder and louder, and violent shaking. Everyone's scared. Smoke, clouds, thunder, lightning. I mean, this guy's going to be good at script writing. Like, if he was in now times, he would be writing blockbusters. The Lord descended to the top of Mount Sinai. That's cool. So he's coming down from heaven, and called Moses to the top of the mountain. So Moses went up, and the Lord said to him, go down and warn the people so they do not force their way through to see the Lord, and many of them perish. You can't see the Lord, okay? You'll die. So guys, stay where you are. Didn't I tell you to stay behind the line? Stay there. Do not rush up here. No one can see him. Except for Jacob. Even the priests who approach the Lord must consecrate themselves, or the Lord will break out against them. Like, he has no restraint. He's just like, rules be rules. And like, I'm going to get you. Like, sorry, I am terrifying. I'm a scary guy, I used to be like, what? I just came down to see what's going on with Sodom. I heard that they were doing wicked things. Now he's like, if you do not consecrate yourself, I will destroy you. Tell them I will kill them. So God has changed. God is developing. He is not consistent. Never, 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 never say that God is consistent and he doesn't change. That's nuts. Moses said to the Lord, the people cannot come up Mount Sinai because you yourself warned us. Put limits around the mountain and set it apart as holy. Wait, sorry, did you forget what you told us? I don't know why I'm telling you what you said. Did you forget that? Are you God? Is this God? Are you actually God? Because it feels like, how would you forget that? The Lord replied, go down and bring Aaron up with you. But the priests and people must not force their way through and come up to the Lord, or he will break out against them. He loves speaking of himself in the third person. He loves it. He's a huge fan. Look, when you're a narcissist, when you're self-obsessed, you're going to talk about yourself in the third person. That's just going to happen. So Moses went down to the people and told them. He's like, we've already got that covered because you already told us. All right, well, go get Aaron and make sure no one else comes up here. All right, I'll tell them anyway. Okay, God. Well, this is an exciting one. This is that scene in the Ten Commandments when Moses gets the Ten Commandments, right? I mean, I guess it's the preamble because it's going to be next chapter. But you get that, the storm and everything like that. Of course, in the movie, I don't think Aaron goes up the mountain in the movie. But anyway, it's not important. The movie is not the truth, and it's not the Bible. It's not the whatever word of God. That's this, and this is what actually happened. Well, actually happened. This is what they say actually happened. So that's chapter 19. It's pretty exciting. There's a bunch of horny people at the bottom of a mountain waiting so that they can finally bang again. And there's a lot of storming and stuff going on. I don't know why they would want to go up the mountain. They're at the base of it trembling. So I don't know what God's worried about. And I also don't know why God can't just walk on down, say a few words, kind of show himself as a lovely guy, a beautiful, powerful being that loves them and wants the best for them. Why he's got to be so theatrical and so over the top and so incredibly violent, because he is going to have the people who touch too much of the mountain or come up the mountain stoned to death in a barbaric way. But hey, that's God, and God is love. God is love. Never forget that God equals love. Every time we hear this stuff, God is love. And hopefully that's reflected in our next chapter, chapter 20, when we get the love-based rules. Maybe this command is based in love, maybe it's not. But we're going to find out, so come on back. Actually, why don't you subscribe and like this video and comment so that we get it out into the algorithm and so that other people can see it and join this conversation as we read the whole entire GD Bible. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.